welcome back to Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. Today, we're doing a little bit of a market watch. I've got a few players today that we're going to be talking about that either, had poor week ones, good week ones, medium week ones, players that were buying, selling, holding based on how the market has reacted to their week one performance. So it's going to be a good one. Trades is what it's all about, guys. It's all about trading. That's how you really make your move. So we've got a good episode coming up. Go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Today's episode brought to you by Starbucks Cold Brew, pumpkin cream cold brew, guys. It is the most delicious coffee ever. I avoid Starbucks all year, not a big Starbucks guy, but when this thing comes out, the pumpkin cream cold brew, it's really unavoidable for me. Me and the missus, we even make our own homemade version too. But she's out of town. So I said, screw it. I'm going to Starbucks, going straight to the source, and I'm getting it this morning. So highly recommend it, guys. Pumpkin cream cold brew. It's a cold brew coffee with some pumpkin cream. Who says no? I don't say no. It's delicious. In fact, I need another sip because it's so good. Anyway, guys, welcome in. Good to see you all. Good morning to you, Brandon, the Vogues, Donald, Mark, Semper, Bach, Scott, everyone, Ryan. Thank you all for being in here. The house, Liv. Hey, Derek. Welcome in, everyone. If you are here live in the chat, thank you for tuning in. And of course, if you catch the podcast, thank you for listening to the podcast as well. Again, guys, you can find the link in the description to listen to the Wake and Take podcast if you can't catch the show live. We've got a market watch today. Today, we are diving into the players that I think we should be making some moves for. And just a couple precursors. Today's a big day in fantasy football. We had our waiver wire episode yesterday. Overnight, right? A lot of waivers have processed. In a couple hours, a lot more waivers will process. In a few hours, all waivers will have processed at some point, probably today or overnight tonight. So this is kind of, especially with Thursday night football, this is kind of the day where everyone looks at their lineup after the week, decides to make some trades, decides who to drop, decides who to pick up, all that fun stuff. So this is a huge money moves day, as I like to put it. And so the first thing I just want to mention when we're doing the market watch is take a look. Who the hell did your league mates drop, right? That is where you can really get some exciting players on your roster. For some players I've seen dropped in my own leagues, of course, varying in depth and everything like that. So it's obviously not going to be the case in every single league, but I saw Jalen Polk get dropped. I saw Marshawn Lloyd get dropped. I saw Jalen Wright get dropped. I saw Kamani Vidal get dropped. All players we know and love and will break out at some point this season in a dynasty, and especially maybe Jalen Polk's case, maybe next year. It's going to be tough to break out as a wide receiver in that offense. But still, these are some rookies that, have some serious juice on really good situations. And because they were healthy scratches, and Marshawn Lloyd, not even a healthy scratch, literally injured, people are already so quick to cut ties. And it's just crazy to me to see some of these players hit the waiver wire this week after, for like Alan Lazard, I don't know. I don't know if that's really going to work out. So I'm kind of spending some time scooping up who was dropped today in terms of not even trades, but just, that's how you can really get some good players on your team that maybe you regret not drafting, and now they're there on the waiver wire. How cool is that? So anyway, go ahead and check that out, as well as just sending out some feelers, right? Like, I'm not going to come here and be like, oh, you got to buy Jordan Love. That's not what today's episode is about. You guys know that, okay? But I did just want to mention that a little bit here. Like, go send some offers out for Jordan Love. Go send some offers out for Puka Nacua. Go send some offers out for Jake Ferguson. These are some players that when they come back, they will probably be pretty damn good. So you've definitely got to go do that. You've got to go send some offers out. They're probably not going to go down in price. Like, I had somebody actually send me a trade offer last night involving Puka Nacua. And to me, I didn't really want to pay the price. I told him I would pay a discounted price. I told him, I was like, look, man, I've looked at this team. This team is awful. I am not ready to win this year. And so I'm happy to, maybe punt a little bit and go trade for some Puka Nacua. So I tried a little George Pickens plus action. And even then, it didn't get me there. And so it really is going to depend from league to league, but you are doing yourself no favors if you don't go out to your league mates with some of these injured players and send them some feelers, slide in their DMs, like, hey, how you feeling? Like, how can I get Jordan Love off your roster? I know you want to win this week. You were really much relying on him. I've got, Dak Prescott, like, would you give me Jordan Love for Dak Prescott? That's kind of what I'm thinking. So anyway, send out some feelers for the injured players. And lastly, before we get into the players I'm actually going to talk about, it's also just important to remember that we have to exercise patience. It's only 1 week. We're only 1 week here. So if anyone's underwhelmed, don't cut ties yet, especially a lot of these rookies. Like, I know a lot of people are out there, putting Marvin Harrison Jr. on the trade block, putting Rome Odunze on the trade block. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like Rome Odunze, unfortunately, he picked up a small knee injury. Marvin Harrison Jr., it just didn't go his way, right? Like it just a bad start, but it's okay. It's okay. Just exercise patience. Let this thing play out. And as it relates to Marvin Harrison Jr. in general, tomorrow's episode, we're going to be doing, just kind of a little bit of a roundup of all the week's news. And I mean, the Arizona Cardinals offensive coordinator has already come out and said they want to give Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball more after week 1. Like, they were just like, I should have done a better job as a coordinator scheming plays for him instead of hoping that Kyler Murray would throw him the ball. Right. And so that, we'll see how that develops over the course of the season. I actually looked back at Justin Jefferson's start. In Justin Jefferson's first game, he only had 2 catches for 26 yards off of 3 targets. Okay. So, like, hey, it's all right. It's all right. Like, listen, hey, it's football. We still have, we still have 16 more weeks. We still have 16 more weeks. So, like, it really, like, come on. So exercise some patience on your players that you're perhaps disappointed in. And hey, if they hit the block, like if someone in your league did say, hey, here's Marvin Harrison Jr. on the block now. All I want is like a Puka Nakua. Hey, go do it. Rome Odunze hits the block and all you have to give up is like Jackson Smith and Jigba. Go do it. Like, get these players that may be disappointed in week 1 and just don't cut ties. Just don't cut ties yet. There is absolutely no point. So guys, that's kind of the precursors before we get into the players I actually wanted to cover in this episode. I see you guys asking a lot of trade questions. Keep them coming, guys. Keep the trade questions coming. After I go through my players, I'll definitely hop into the chat and help you guys out. But let's keep the flow going. Welcome to the show, Chuck. Welcome to the show. New subscriber here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Hope to see you again, man. Welcome in. Welcome in. We're here every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m., breaking down fantasy football stuff. So welcome into the show. Glad to have you here. So before we get into the players I want to talk about, I do have a little bit of an ad break. I would be remiss to play if I don't do it. So go ahead and listen here about our Dynasty Deluxe package.
This episode is brought to you by Player Profiler, the Dynasty Deluxe package. The rankings are the best in the industry. It includes strategy mode where you can say, hey, change the rankings to be win now. Oh, change the rankings to be productive struggle. There's also a draft planner to help to strategize where you should take players because the draft planner also includes ADP. There's a trade finder where we look up on My Fantasy League and we see trades that are done, including a particular player. Then there's a trade analyzer where you can plug in draft picks, players, and we assign a lifetime value to draft picks out 5 years. The best thing about our trade analyzer, it can't be gamed with volume. And there's mock draft data to see right now what's the market for player X versus player Y, including in the fall when very few mock drafts are happening. And our Dynasty Guide, the Dynasty Dominator, would cost you $10 on Amazon, but you get it for free with Dynasty Deluxe, and you get our Rookie Guide for free, a $25 value. So you get all of that for $45. I mean, it's a great deal.
Seriously, go get that Dynasty Deluxe package. You can also just get our Dynasty Dominator app for $5 on the Play Store. That is a lot of the same features. The Dynasty Deluxe package has every tool you need to dominate your Dynasty leagues. Everything from rankings to a trade analyzer to help you make the trades that we're about to talk about here. So, hey, I know you guys are already going to know a few of the players I'm going to talk about today. You already know. I mean, hey, I had a lot of confirmation bias in week 1, and I know that we're not supposed to overreact to week 1. But if it's something that I've been expecting and then I just see it unfold before my eyes exactly as I expected it to play out, I view that as a super huge sample size as opposed to just 1 week. So we'll start with that player, Dalton Kincaid. It's time to sell Dalton Kincaid. I had been screaming from the rooftops all offseason that his value was a bit too hopeful. We saw last year that Dalton Kincaid was not really able to produce when Dawson Knox was out there. And even when Dawson Knox was gone, Dalton Kincaid was just very good, which there's no problem with being very good. Okay, like, yeah, 18 points, 16 points, 14 points. That's pretty damn good. But that all came at the absence of Dawson Knox. And we knew that this Bills offense was going to look a lot different this year. What did they do? Well, they got rid of Stephon Diggs, okay? They got rid of their alpha, sure. Now there's targets to go around, supposedly. Supposedly, there's got to be a new alpha, right? Supposedly, right? Why wouldn't it be year 2 tight end, right? Why wouldn't it, okay? Well, because that's not how it always has to go. We said it time and time again on this show. The Buffalo Bills have struggled with an alpha. They tried that. They tried to force feed an alpha in Stephon Diggs. And what happened last year? Their rival, the Kansas City Chiefs, they are able to win the Super Bowl without an alpha. They're able to go through the whole season just relying on their defense and to another degree, of course, relying on Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen was never going to be asked to throw the ball to Dalton Kincaid 10 plus times a game. That was never going to be the case. We knew it, okay? They kept Khalil Shakir. They drafted Keon Coleman. They brought in Mac Hollins. They brought in Curtis Samuel. They brought in Marcus Valdes-Scantling, right? They did all these things. They still kept Dawson Knox on the team. They have a pass-catching running back in James Cook. All of the pieces were set up in Buffalo to be a spread around offense. There was no reason for there to be an alpha in Buffalo. My take still is that Dalton Kincaid's going to have a good season. To your point here, Souths go 650. He could totally have a better game in week 2. He could. I think basically what I'm trying to say here is that the Buffalo Bills aren't going to have a featured part of an offense every single week. Like, there is no Stephon Diggs again. There's no, say, Travis Kelce, what a lot of people were saying Dalton Kincaid would be. There will be weeks where Dalton Kincaid gets 8 targets. There will also be weeks like this one where he gets 2. Okay? Like, it's just how it's going to work. Mac Hollins scored a damn touchdown in this game. Okay? Like, do you understand what that means and what this demonstrates? Here are the receivers that had more receiving yards than Dalton Kincaid. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, James Cook, Mac Hollins, Dawson Knox, Marcus Valdes-Scantling, Curtis Samuel, even Ray Davis, off of his 1 reception, only had 14 yards. So, again, I'm just saying that this Buffalo Bills offense is going to be one that spreads the ball around, and Dalton Kincaid is going to have weeks. He's still probably going to be at least top 2, top 3 on this team in targets, but he does not have the actual alpha production that you want from your tight end at his current value. If you go to keep Trey Cut right now, he's valued still, even after this down week, as the tight end 4 in Dynasty. That's really, really high. Like, you could take Dalton Kincaid and trade him for a couple other tight ends that I would love to talk about now and get a cherry on top. So basically what I'm trying to say is that Dalton Kincaid, he's going to have some weeks, but he's also going to have a low floor. And to me, you should be looking to swap him for some other tight ends that have a little bit more floor and ceiling for that matter. Like, I really doubt we're ever going to see an 11 reception, 150-yard, 2-touchdown Dalton Kincaid game. Like, we're never going to see an Evan Ingram type game from Dalton Kincaid. He's going to be a guy that in his best games has 80 yards and a touchdown and 6 receptions, which is fine. But he's valued so high right now that I would be looking to move on from him while you still can. I think a lot of people are able to look at this down week and say, oh, well, it's only week 1, But to me, like I said, this is something I expected all offseason, and I watched it unfold before my very eyes. And so I am even that much more confident having seen it, even if it is only 1 week. I think it's just going to continue that way, right? Like Khalil Shakir, 5 targets, okay? 3 targets, 5 targets for Keon Coleman, 3 targets for Khalil Shakir, 2 targets for Mac Hollins, 2 targets for Dawson Knox, 2 targets for Marcus Valdes-Scantling, 2 targets for Curtis Samuel, 2 targets for Dalton Kincaid. Okay, like it's just everyone's going to catch the ball here, and I think that you could still get some value for Dalton Kincaid. It's where you won't even feel that bad when he does have his ceiling games or anything like that. Like, so just go ahead and move on for him. And I would say try to buy Mark Andrews. Try to buy Mark Andrews right now, guys. I am shocked. At how much Mark Andrews has fallen. If you go to Keep Trade Cut right now, he has dropped 23 overall player spots from player 60 down to player 83 and has now found himself from tight end 5 all the way down to tight end 8, which to me is just asinine. We knew that this was going to happen. Mark Andrews, of course, in this game only finishes with 2 receptions for 14 yards and is majorly outproduced by his teammate, Isaiah Likely. Okay? And so that is what's causing this. But we have to pump the brakes. What happened this offseason to make it make sense that Mark Andrews would have a quiet week 1? Well, Mark Andrews was A, recovering from an injury, and then B, got involved in a car crash just a few weeks before the season. Mark Andrews wasn't able to practice at all during the preseason or training camp because he was recovering from his injury. The first time he even made it back was the week of the game. The week of the game, Thursday Night Football, he got his first limited practice. So it made sense that he was not going to be utilized and he was going to be out there a little bit more as a decoy. And that's what we saw. He was double covered. He was triple covered. But what we saw from Mark Andrews was availability, which is exactly what you want from your tight end. And Mark Andrews in this game actually was on the field for more snaps than Isaiah Likely and ran more routes than Isaiah Likely. The usage and possible production is still there for Mark Andrews. He's just clearly recovering, clearly wasn't 100%, and his absence in the later parts of the offseason led to him not being a very big part of this game plan and made the Ravens feel that they could utilize Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson as a runner, and let Mark Andrews get double covered the whole game, opening up the field for everyone else. As Mark Andrews gets healthier and as the season goes along, he's going to become a bigger part of the offense every single week until he's Mandrews again. And when he's Mandrews again, you're going to be so upset that you didn't trade for him. His value right now, again, yeah, he's tight end 8, which sounds pretty expensive, but when you put it in the context of player 83, that's behind players like TJ Hawkinson and Travis Kelce even on Keep Trade Cut right now. And to me, Mark Andrews, at only 29 years old, with the production we've seen on the offense that he is still a very, very valuable fantasy asset at a weak position, the tight end. There's plenty of room for him to still be the number 1 target on this offense. Don't overreact to 1 week where he was not clearly a big part of the game plan because of injuries and the car crash that he sustained, right? Like, it's okay. It's going to be fine. Mandrews is still Mandrews. Don't panic. Get him while you still can. And on that same vein, we've got to be selling Isaiah Likely. We have to. I have never in my life seen such a massive, meteoric fantasy value rise. I had no idea. Like, I understand that Isaiah Likely had a huge week 1, 9 receptions, 111 yards and a touchdown. I also understand that he was rising in fantasy football value. Like, people were out there trading crazy things for him. I had no idea. Check my tweet at JFootballWine. I had no idea on Keep Trade Cut. Again, this is a group rankings essentially. Like it is, people choose. I would rather have this player over this player, and then the system puts this thing together, has a whole thing. Isaiah Likely rose 81 spots on Keep Trade Cut Dynasty rankings. Isaiah Likely is now the tight end 6. Tight end 6. He is right behind Kyle Pitts and above TJ Hawkinson, Mark Andrews, and Travis Kelce. I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous. It was 1 week again, where Mark Andrews was asked to be a decoy in the game plan. Okay, Isaiah Likely's still going to be a big part of this offense, and we've talked about it a lot. I'm not a big Zay Flowers guy. I think Zay Flowers is a beta alpha. He gets this low ADOT stuff. he's good enough after the catch. He has some of these, like, again, we'd said it with Dalton Kincaid, right? Or I think it was Dalton Kincaid. Yeah. There's a difference between very good and great. And unfortunately, Isaiah Likely, to me, this was his best week. Isaiah Likely is not going to have another 9 reception, 100-yard, and a touchdown game. He's not. I understand that that's very matter of fact for me to say. But why would he? Unless Mark Andrews gets hurt, right? But Mark Andrews, again, he's going to be a bigger part of this offense as the season goes along. And Isaiah Likely's still going to be involved, but he's not going to get this type of volume again. And for me to check keep trade cut and see him in the realm of Kyle Pitts, TJ Hawkinson, and his teammate Mark Andrews, I think that's ridiculous. The fact that you can take Isaiah Likely right now, according to keep trade cut, and get Mark Andrews and like a 3rd-round pick? Are you serious? It's been 1 week. So if you're in a league and you're getting offers like people sending you a 1st-round pick for Isaiah Likely, you have to accept that. Like, I would break my finger pressing accept if someone sent me a 1st for Isaiah Likely. I would be over the damn moon. I understand this guy looked incredible, has the athleticism, is in an offense that features the tight end. But we have to look at the full picture here and see, A, this is a low passing volume offense, and B, Mark Andrews just wasn't utilized. C, we want to go even deeper. Tez Walker was a healthy scratch. That's not going to happen all season either. They'll have that deep play availability too at some point. Very, very much missed in this Chiefs game. The amount of deep shots that were taken and dropped was ridiculous. Take Isaiah Likely, get Mark Andrews plus, or get a 1st. I just think it's ridiculous how, obviously, again, I am saying that I think as they reported, right? The Ravens reported all offseason that they were planning to run a bunch of 2 tight end sets. So we knew that Isaiah Likely was going to be involved, but this was his best game. So sell him now while you can. Eventually, Mark Andrews is going to be Mandrews again. Isaiah Likely as the tight end 6 in Dynasty to me is absolutely ridiculous. Player 76 overall. It's just way too high. Just way too high. So we are moving on from Isaiah Likely. And the final tight end I want to talk about is, of course, Kyle Pitts. Again, this is going to be one where I may be overreacting to a sample size, but also, as I said with Dalton Kincaid, this is the take I've had all offseason. And so to see the confirmation bias just makes me feel that much sweeter. Kyle Pitts, all offseason, I have been tagging as my tight end 1. I have 50% exposure to him on my underdog drafts. I just kept pressing the Kyle Pitts button. When I look at this Falcons offense, I see one potential receiving alpha, and his name is Kyle Pitts. I saw a comment in the chat earlier in the show, is it possible Drake London is just not that good? And yes, that is very, very possible. I think Drake London is good, and that's fine. Again, there's a place in the NFL for good players. But when you're talking about a player who can actually wreck defenses and be a mismatch on both sides of the field, can barely be covered because he's such a nightmare to cover, that's Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is taller than Drake London. He's heavier than Drake London. He's faster than Drake London. He has more career production than Drake London. He's a better route runner than Drake London. The only thing that Drake London might have better than him is contested catch ability. And that's all Drake London can do. If you go to PlayerProfiler.com, you will see that last year Drake London was terrible in route win rate. Not that great at even contested catches. Awful at target separation, right? Like he's not a separator, Drake London. He's a clasher. He uses his height. That's not like the type of receiver that Kirk Cousins likes to throw to. And that's not necessarily the receiver that this McVay style offense likes to feature. Okay. They want someone who could operate like a Cooper Kupp, who could run all the routes, who can find the open space. And that's Kyle Pitts. And I understand that in this game, he only had 3 receptions, 26 yards and a touchdown. But that's all I needed to see. Outperformed Drake London in this game like I expected on my dimension. I went on there. My hot take is that Kyle Pitts finishes as the tight end 1 and outproduces Drake London on his own team. I think that's going to continue. And I think that Kirk Cousins is just going to get better. I mean, he just went up. I mean, like, I understand that it was a disappointing week 1 for the Falcons, but we also have to understand how good of a defense Pittsburgh is and how much of a game wrecker TJ Watt is. So Kyle Pitts is a player you need to get on your team before it's too late. I know he scored the touchdown, so that's given some confirmation bias to a lot of Kyle Pitts managers. But as we just talked about, you could basically take Isaiah Likely and get Kyle Pitts right now. So like that to me is just ridiculous. You could take Dalton Kincaid and get Kyle Pitts right now. And the beauty of this is the box score doesn't even capture it all. Kyle Pitts had another like 30-yard catch that was actually taken back by a penalty. And I think that would have been the difference too. Like that's another reception. That's another 4 points, right? Like that would have been 4 targets, 4 catches, 50-something yards and a touchdown. So Kyle Pitts, he's going to get a lot more involved. He's going to have a lot more explosiveness, and he's going to be awesome for the tight end position at the end of the year. And the Smitty, I'm not saying that Drake London isn't going to go get more targets. I'm saying that Drake London isn't the athlete that Kyle Pitts is. Kyle Pitts could be a huge featured part of this offense. He really will be. And so will Drake London. But Kyle Pitts is the player that could be utilized a lot more creatively. And that's what this coaching staff is looking for. Drake London's going to get targets, but they're not going to be like the high value, like yak targets, the over the middle chunk plays and stuff like that. Like he's going to get red zone targets. He's going to get some of these just like go up and get it, like not even streaks, but like maybe like out routes and stuff like that, like right on the sideline. Like he's just a clasher, and that there's a place for that. But Kyle Pitts has actual superstar ability and potential. And I think that he's going to unlock it this year. And it started this week with only 3 receptions for 26 yards and a touchdown. I know that that's good, but not great yet. But it will get better. Kirk Cousins is going to get better. He's going to get healthier. And this Falcons offense will improve. I mean, a lot of changes are coming here. So get Kyle Pitts while you still can, guys. I mean, if you're looking at the tight end landscape, it's still like Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, Brock Bowers are the tight ends ahead of Kyle Pitts right now. Kyle Pitts is a year younger than Dalton Kincaid, a year younger than Trey McBride, only 3 months older than even Sam Laporta. So he still has the youth. He's got a really good offense that he's now attached to. Lots of good potential as well in terms of the volume department. Kyle Pitts is going to have a huge year. Definitely get him. Definitely get him while you still can, and take Isaiah Likely or Dalton Kincaid to do it. Get Kyle Pitts, guys. And before I talk about another player you guys will know that I'm talking about, we'll stay on the topic of the title, and we'll move over to Rashee Rice. What should you be doing with Rashee Rice? Because in this game, he finishes with the lead in targets on the Kansas City Chiefs by a wide margin. He has 9 targets. Travis Kelce is next with 4. He brought in 7 of them for 103 yards, and he was featured heavily. The ball went to him time and time again, which is awesome, right? Everyone that drafted Rashee Rice, everyone that maybe held on to Rashee Rice in Dynasty or even traded for him, like bought low or something, they're over the moon. But now it's time to cash in. It is time to sell Rashee Rice. Xavier Worthy is only going to get more involved as the season goes along. Travis Kelce is not going to have many 4-target games as the season goes along. Marquise Brown, he's going to get healthy at some point. He will be back. He will take some targets, not a ton. Rashee Rice is also going to get suspended at some point. So this is a ticking time bomb on your roster. And you can use this week where he was incredible and everyone was reminded how good he is and how much volume he gets in this offense from Patrick Mahomes. But I checked out Keep Trade Cut, and he has moved all the way back up to wide receiver 15. And that to me is his ceiling, right? Like even if he never gets suspended, that is like his ceiling. Like, is he really going to pass Devontae Smith, Brandon Ayuk, Malik Neighbors? Like, I don't really think so. Like, maybe. But this is about the range that Rashee Rice belongs in without off-the-field issues. I understand that now we're in the season, so we forget about the off-the-field issues. But that's exactly why you can sell Rashee Rice now. You can take Rashee Rice, and you can get Xavier Worthy plus. Like, think about that. You can have the wide receiver that will replace him next year, a wide receiver that just scored 2 touchdowns in his debut, and is still attached to Patrick Mahomes. Like, so that's kind of what I'm thinking here when I look at it. Rashee Rice is going to have a great season, But when you kind of take into account all the the targets that will, still go the other way, right? Like Marquise Brown, he's going to get involved when he comes back. Xavier Worthy's going to get more than 3 targets, right? Travis Kelce's going to get more than 3 targets. Rashee Rice still obviously going to be a big part of this offense and be productive, but I would rather try to just get off the Rashee Rice boat while I can, and try to get Xavier Worthy off the team. I know it's a tough one, but again, he's going to get suspended next year. This is a dynasty take. Sorry, I should have maybe prefaced that. This is a dynasty take. You could probably hold on to him in redraft. It would be fine. But yeah, this was a dynasty take. I'm sorry. I probably should have prefaced that. I forgot that we're in the season, so a lot of redraft stuff comes in. I always forget that I spent all the off season doing dynasty content, and then I've got to kind of flip the switch a little bit. This is a dynasty take. I understand if you want to hold on to Rashee Rice. I'm not sure. I mean, like maybe you want to go get Cooper Kupp or again, like I said, Xavier Worthy plus. But in dynasty, you got to move on from him. Again, these are dynasty, like Keep Trade Cut dynasty rankings has him now at wide receiver 15. He's moved up 39 spots, which is ridiculous. So I would be looking to sell high on him in dynasty. Again, Xavier Worthy plus is a great package, but I also just want to mention some of the other rookies that had a really, really good week 1. If you really want to stay young and get some guys outside of Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas Jr. had a great week 1 as a rookie, looks to be an alpha potential in the Jaguars offense. Ladd McConkey, fantastic week 1 in Los Angeles, looks to be Justin Herbert's number 1 target. Awesome. Already mentioned Xavier Worthy as well. And Rome Odunze, not a great week 1, picked up an injury, but now he's all the way down at wide receiver 19 on these Keep Trade Cut rankings. So Rome Odunze looks to be someone that you could get a cherry on top of for Rashee Rice. So go ahead and sell him for now, right? Like just sell him, get him off the roster while you still can, because once he does get suspended next year, he's going to lose the value again. Wide receiver 15, even without the off the field issues, to me feels like the ceiling. I can't imagine much more growth, especially with all the people out there. So yeah, I understand that this isn't for everyone, but for me, I'm moving on for Rashee Rice in my dynasty leagues while I still can. I think he's taken a meteoric rise in value. We'll go with we'll go to another one. Well, but this is the thing. I guess before we move on, this is the thing. After the championship, Rashee Rice is going to have no value. Rashee Rice will have absolutely no value after the championship. You've got to, this is the time to sell him if you want him off your dynasty roster. It is a ticking time bomb. It really, really is. So anyway, next player, you guys already know. At some point, I've got to talk Jameson Williams, one of my biggest flag plays from this offseason, a player I would not shut up about, even going back to last year. I love Jameson Williams' profile. This is just a player archetype that I already love on an incredible offense. I mean, the signs were pointing to a breakout for Jameson Williams, and too many people chose to ignore the signs. Not here on Wake and Take, and I know a lot of you guys heeded the advice and were able to draft him, which is awesome, awesome news. And this is not it. I see a lot of people saying it's time to sell Jameson Williams. I'm going the hold route. I'm saying hold Jameson Williams and maybe buy him if you can. I offered a first-round pick for him yesterday. I got declined. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to vary from league to league. I offered Dalton Kincaid straight up, got declined. And, so it depends league to league. That's the one league I don't have JMO, and I've been trying to get him for so long, and I just can't get him off this guy. So, but anyway, you've got to get him on your team. And if you have him, you can't sell him. This is exactly what was going to happen. Okay, we talked about it time and time again. A player doesn't just score a touchdown by luck, okay? To have only one catch as a rookie and that one catch be a touchdown, that's incredible. In year 2, to have the production that he did off of the minimal targets was incredible. It was like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns before the playoffs in only half the season. That's pretty damn good, given the fact he wasn't really involved. And then in the NFC Championship, he scores 2 touchdowns against the San Francisco 49ers, showing the type of explosiveness he has on the biggest stage. And then we hear all offseason about how much he's locked in, trying to improve, how great he's looking at camp, and still people were choosing to ignore it, right? And we did the math, too. Jared Goff threw the ball 605 times last year. Second in the NFL. He threw the ball 605 times last year. That is so many passes. It didn't even matter if Jameson Williams was like the 4th target. That was always what I heard. Like, oh, how is Jameson Williams going to be productive with Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jahmyr Gibbs over there? How would that even happen? And it's like, well, I don't know. Let's just do simple math. If you add up all the targets that Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs got last year, that's 355. 605 minus 355 is 250. There were still 250 targets left to be allocated based off of quick maths, okay? Like, it was a lock that Jameson Williams was going to get at least 100 targets on this Lions offense with his explosiveness. Just think about it. What does Jameson Williams do best? He's a great deep threat. He's also really, really good at intermediate routes. He's also really, really good at jet sweeps. He's also really, really good at short yak scenarios. Something that is needed in this offense. Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra, they can take the over-the-middle dink and dunk possession catches. Jahmyr Gibbs can get the catches out of the backfield. Jameson Williams does it all over the field. And with his explosiveness, it was clear that he was going to be a playmaker for this offense. And what's he do in the first week of the season? He leads the team in targets. 9 targets. Even I didn't expect that many in week 1. Even I. 5 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown. And it honestly looked better than the box score even suggested. And this is not the beginning. Or this is the beginning, I guess. This is the beginning, right? Like, it's only going to get further up from here. If you go to Keep Trade Cut right now, he has massively risen, understandably so. But again, it could go further, and it's not going lower either, unless he gets hurt, of course. But we're not hoping that. We're knocking on wood. But anyway, he has moved up to wide receiver 36, player overall 78 on Keep Trade Cut rankings. Not enough, right? Just not enough. You could take Jordan Addison and get Jameson Williams still. I think that's an incredible move. So yeah, Jameson Williams, get him on your team if you can. Hold and buy if you can. JMO season. Let's go. And now, after JMO, I think, let's see. Is that? Oh, I've got 2 more for you. We'll go with another hot take. And this is another one that all off season I've been talking about. And I'm not going to lie. I was a bit disappointed to see this guy score an 80-yard touchdown. But you've got to sell Tyreek Hill. You've got to sell Tyreek Hill in Dynasty. If you have Tyreek Hill in Dynasty, you've got to sell him. I do not understand the discrepancy in value. Given his age, I understand the production that Tyreek Hill can bring to your team. 30 and a half years old. Wide receiver 8 in Dynasty rankings? When Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, all of those players are outside the top 25 at the wide receiver position. That, to me, screams discrepancy and overvaluation of Tyreek Hill because of the ceiling he can bring. But you also have to remember the floor that Tyreek Hill can bring as well. And it might not come, right? But this is a time to cash in on a deteriorating asset. Okay, wide receiver 8 is massively high. You can take Tyreek Hill and just get his teammate. You can get Jalen Waddle plus. You can get Jameson Williams and a ton of pluses. You can get A.J. Brown. You can get Malik Neighbors. You can get Puka Nacua. You can get Nico Collins, right? Like all of these wide receivers at the top if you're trying to stay young. Or my favorite move with Tyreek Hill, I don't mind having old players, but I do mind having old players way overvalued. And the fact that you can take Tyreek Hill and get Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Stephon Diggs, and a massive cherry on top, like you can get those wide receivers in a first probably for Tyreek Hill. And I just think that's ridiculous. I really do. I understand that Tyreek Hill has a massive, massive ceiling, but if you have him in Dynasty, he's a ticking time bomb. And I understand, and honestly, I would say that this game, this box score in general kind of lies to you. 12 targets, incredible. 7 receptions, pretty solid. 130 yards and a touchdown. That's awesome. But take away that 80-yard touchdown, which I understand is a dangerous game with Tyreek Hill. He only had 6 receptions for 50 yards off of 11 targets. Like it was like he was actually kind of contained in this game a little bit, had that one breakaway play, which is what Tyreek Hill does. I get it. But I think that you should be able to cash in on him right now. You can get other older players and massive cherries on top. I would rather do that. If you're going to assume the risk of an older stud, you might as well trade the way, way more expensive older stud for other older studs that could produce similarly. Like Cooper Kupp and a first for Tyreek Hill is not a crazy ask. I think you could get that, and I think you would be very, very happy with that type of return in Dynasty. And even in redraft, you could probably get like Cooper Kupp and, a good player, I don't know. But either way, you can get a lot for Tyreek Hill, and I think that you should sell him before it's too late. And lastly, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, what should you do with Cooper Kupp? He is now clearly the wide receiver one in Los Angeles with Puka Nacua landing on IR. He just set a career high in targets, just had his first 14 reception season since 2022 when he won the Triple Crown, just had 100 yards and a touchdown, and looked incredible. What should you do with Cooper Kupp? You should hold. You should hold or buy if you can at the right price. I think he's going to be pretty expensive to buy right now. I did buy Cooper Kupp. Just full disclosure, I traded DK Metcalf straight up for Cooper Kupp. I'm just tired of that DK Metcalf share, to be honest. I love DK Metcalf, but I wanted more Cooper Kupp. Who doesn't want some Cooper Kupp on their team? I know I lost the trade in terms of value, but I wanted Cooper Kupp. We're gearing up for a huge season for him, especially over the next few weeks. And this was already a player, again, over the offseason that I was heavily targeting. I have 42% exposure to him on Underdog, mostly coming in the third, fourth round when he was really, really undervalued. This is a player that is just incredible. Again, he had almost 2,000 yards receiving just a couple seasons ago. Clearly a huge part of this Rams offense. And we saw it in this game against the Lions. He still looks young and athletic. He was running great routes. He made that incredible sideline grab at full speed, was able to get both feet down. He looks like the Cooper Kupp of old. And so you cannot be selling high on Cooper Kupp. I don't even know what that means. Again, he's only the wide receiver 29 right now. He's in the range of Michael Pittman, Deebo Samuel, T. Higgins, Lad McConkey, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. And that's fine. But I would much rather have Cooper Kupp over Deebo Samuel, over T. Higgins, over JSN, right? Like I said, I traded DK Metcalf for Cooper Kupp. If you have Zay Flowers and you could get Cooper Kupp, you should do it. If you have Michael Pittman and can get Cooper Kupp, you should just do it, especially if you're competing, right? In Dynasty, even then, get Cooper Kupp. He's going to be a stud this year. He's awesome. He's getting all the volume, especially over the next few weeks. Help you start off hot, buy, and hold Cooper Kupp. Do not sell high. So those are the buy, sell, holds for me following week one, heading into week two. You guys, let me know in the comments who you are trading for, who you're trading away. I am very curious. I want to hop into the chat and see what type of questions I have. Yes, Mark. I spent $777 fab dollars on Cooper Kupp. This is a guillotine league. I've never played in guillotine before, but the team with Cooper Kupp lost. And I was like, you know what? I could very much lose next week. My fab doesn't mean a damn thing. I'm getting Cooper Kupp on my roster, baby. So I gave 77% of fab for Cooper Kupp. We'll see if it burns me. I mean, obviously, the cost, this may burn me. As more teams drop out of this guillotine league, obviously, winning the waiver wire is going to be very, very important. But I got Cooper Kupp, baby. I don't care. I got Cooper Kupp. And I mean, we all drafted a team. So it's not like I really need more depth or anything like that. So, hey, give me Cooper Kupp. I'm excited about it. Bernardo, this was a dynasty trade where I gave DK for Cooper Kupp. So that's probably why. If it was redraft, I doubt that really happens. You were offered DJ Moore for Puka Nacua. Should you do it? Yeah. Yeah, you should. In redraft. In Dynasty, I honestly might still be rolling with Puka Nacua. I'm a huge Rome Odunze guy over the course of the career. I do think he'll develop into the wide receiver one, whereas Puka Nacua is only going to get more valuable as Cooper Kupp gets older. So in Dynasty, I might just hold on to Puka, but in redraft, yeah, just go ahead and get DJ Moore. Let's see. Would you drop Chase Brown or Ty Chandler for Jalen Wright? Go ahead and drop Ty Chandler. Guys, everyone tuning in, I see it here in the chat. Raheem Mostert is officially out this week. So everyone that was victory lapping me for some reason, I got DMs like, you were flag planting Jalen Wright. I was like, dude, like, pump the brakes a little bit. It's week 1. You know? Go get Jalen Wright for sure. He's just incredible. Let's see, what other questions do we have? What are we doing with Puka Nacua? You basically got to hold him. You basically just got to hold him. If you could sell him for similar return, maybe it's worth it. Like if you can get Cooper Kupp Plus or something in redraft, do it. But for the most part, you've just got to hold on to him and wait for him to return, unfortunately. But it really depends. I mean, like if you were able to get a big one, like I said, DJ Moore in redraft, that feels about right. Let's see. Bach views Worthy Moore as a best ball player. I disagree. I mean, I see why that is possible, right? But I do think that he is like Jameson Williams, where, he fits the best ball player archetype, but he's on an offense where that is good, right? Where that's just important. Patrick Mahomes is going to hit him. He's going to score touchdowns at an unbelievable clip. And I think he'll just get more volume as the season goes along. Let's see. Yeah, Millie Mills, this is a great comment. Until we motion Drake London like Cooper Kupp, he will never be a separator. He's a younger Michael Pittman. This is perfect. This is a perfect quote. And I would even say Michael Pittman is a better route runner than Drake London is. And this is coming from a Falcons fan. I think that Drake London is good, but he isn't the alpha that Kyle Pitts is, unfortunately. Let's see. Week 2 buys Jalen Wright. If someone's dumb enough to drop him, there you go, the Bulls. We talked about it at the top of the show. We talked about it in the waiver wire episode, and we get to talk about it here. Get Jalen Wright if he's available. Let's see. The Browns signed David Bell. Does that mean Jalen Darden loses touches on returns? I don't think so. I would assume that means Jalen Darden is still the kick returner, but I would say unsure. But, I mean, he was pretty good. Would I trade Dalton Kincaid for Chris Olave? I think so. I just don't know if anyone would give you Olave for Dalton Kincaid. But, yeah, I would rather – I think that Chris Olave is going to turn into something at some point. I really do. I like Chris Olave a lot. Maybe it's because he's got such a cool name, but I do think that he is the wide receiver in New Orleans, and he will get the volume at some point. I think last week, unfortunately, just a big blowout. Yeah, I think. We'll see. I don't know. What kind of running back could I get for Dalton Kincaid and tight end premium? Maybe try to get like a Kenneth Walker or something. I like Kenneth Walker a lot. Maybe something in that range. You could probably even go a little bit higher, like maybe a safe one. That could be fun. You traded Mark Andrews for J.K. Dobbins? No! I would say no. I would say I understand why you made that move, but J.K. Dobbins is always hurt. He's going to get hurt again at some point this season. That's why we're stashing Kamani Vidal. Everyone get Kamani Vidal if you can. But that's also why we said buy Mark Andrews in the show, right? Like this is all it takes to get Mark Andrews, guys. J.K. Dobbins. So think about that. Go get Andrews on your team. And I believe that is it. I do believe that's it. I'm going to go back down to the bottom and see what we got. I scrolled up, so I'll go back down to the bottom. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. I'm in a league where no one replies to trades, very antisocial, but are active in waivers. Sometimes this happens. I understand it's hard to trade in leagues. For the most part, what I do in those leagues is, really lose trades. If there's a player you want, it's okay to lose trades. I understand that doesn't make a lot of sense when you hear that, but you've got to be you've got to have conviction in your players. And if you want a guy, you've got to lose the trade. That's just how it goes. Everyone holds on to their players, especially with the thought that they are in their 99th percentile outcome. And you've got to pay up as if that's the case, especially in leagues like this. And maybe just send them a message first. Like, hey, I really want this player. What would it take? Sharko Zulu is trying to trade for Jonathan Taylor. I think that's a good one. He just keeps dropping. People just keep doing it. But he even had a touchdown last week. The Colts offense looked pretty good. Yeah. You hold HN. Should I trade for Mostert or hold right and wait? Hold right. Hold right. Jalen Wright's who you want. You hold Levis in Superflex 2QB? Yes. In Superflex 2QB, you have to. Would Drake London and Aaron Jones be a fair trade for Kyron Williams? I would rather have Drake London and Aaron Jones. Drop Corman redraft? No. Wow, Achane, a game time decision. Definitely get Jalen Wright. Holy shit. He's probably going to play, but as we've seen before with Achane, this usually doesn't mean great things for the type of volume that he gets in the game. And that's just disappointing. And that's why we said, why do we draft Jalen Wright, guys? What did we say? How often did we say it? He was my rookie running back 3. Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Jalen Wright. He landed in the perfect spot. He has all the speed and explosiveness that Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert bring, but he has the size. He's 5'11", 210 pounds, was hyper-productive at the SEC. That's going to translate to the NFL, and the best ability is availability. Jalen Wright, going to end up being one of the league winners. Get him while you can, guys. Yeah, that should do it, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is another fun episode of Wake and Take. You guys were a fantastic audience, as always. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to both Player Profiler and the Player Profiler news channels on your way out. And make sure you check out the Wake and Take podcast via link in the description. And shoot me a follow on social media at JFootballWine. I'll see you all tomorrow, maybe 10:30. Keep an eye out for that. There's something going up tomorrow morning, so I might be a little bit late. But we'll be here. We'll be previewing week 1. We'll be talking some Thursday night football. And most importantly, we'll be breaking down all the news from the week, doing a little bit of a news rundown tomorrow morning. Probably 10, but maybe 10:30. Might have to push it back a little bit tomorrow. I've got an errand I have to run. But otherwise, should be here. Should be good to go. Make sure you tune into that. And you all have a wonderful Wednesday, a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.